Well, hello, hello. Welcome to the Coaching Business Spotlight Show. I'm your host, Knecht, and I am excited to share with you the many soul-driven strategies there are to help you succeed in your business and your life. I always trip over that word strategies because I love those proven strategies. That's for sure. And I love this time of year when the new year has just started. Happy New Year! There's so much possibility of what's to come. And for me, there's also that, and excuse my French, that oh shit moment. What now? You ever have that happen? It's like, okay, I've created, I know it's new year, woohoo, new possibilities. And now it's time to make it real. That's often when when there's like a thud. Looking at my vision board, I'm ready to set my goals for the year, and I feel that reality sucks feeling. I would rather just dream. How about you? I love dreaming. Like, oh, what are all the fun things? Maybe you're feeling this way right now, like a little bit of that after New Year's blah. I used to have this sinking feeling every January. I loved all the visioning I did. Ooh, the visualization, looking at what I wanted, dreaming big, making a vision board to hold it all. But invariably, a moment would come when I felt that sinking feeling. How am I ever going to make this a reality? I mean, I could spend the whole rest of this podcast. And yes, I did want to say this is part two of our two-part series on visioning. So I love this. I made it. If you're watching the video, I have this new thing on Zoom where I can do funny things with my hands and it creates things. Anyway, the first part one, we really took a look at how important it is to be anchored in a vision, why having a vision is even important. And now today I want to look with you at another aspect of visioning. It starts right here. How am I ever going to make this a reality? It's there's something I don't have the quote. I sometimes just do terrible with quotes, but they come to my mind and I'm like, there is a quote out there about, a vision without action, or action without a vision. It's like if you don't have a vision, you get into action. It's just a lot of busy work. I'm making up my own quote. How about that? And if you have a vision and you don't get into action, it's just a nice idea. And who wants a life filled with nice ideas? We want stuff to happen, right? So, here's a story. I'm going to tell you a story, and it's a little bit of a sad story. So, you might want to get a cup of cocoa or tea and cuddle up and listen to Kat's sad story. This story began at the end of the year because I have a ritual that I do. So at the end of the year, I looked at my vision board and I saw that I had made not one single thing on my vision board a reality. Really? Can you imagine? I considered myself the queen of living life from a vision. And I had failed big time that year. It hurt. It hurt. I looked and I was like, whoa, what? What happened? I had been living at that point, been living my life by a vision for years. I had had many wonderful, magical things. I was used to looking at my vision board most of the years and going, woohoo, we're rolling. It's happening. Good things are blooming. Not this year. Curtis and I were driving up the California coast. We were looking at the sun hitting the ocean. It was beautiful. The stunning view on the drive between our home in Ventura and Santa Barbara, California, if you know it. It's just gorgeous. And we were going to an art supply store to get some things for our new vision board. And this year, we had the idea we were going to make our vision not a board, but a mobile, right? One of those things where you hang You know what a mobile is, right? Like they have for babies and things. Oh my gosh, we had such a fun idea about what it was going to look like and what it was going to be on. And we've been having so much fun imagining the new year and what we wanted. But there was that moment that I had taken a look at that vision board. And when I had been shocked and saw that nothing had happened, I felt disappointed. I was really disappointed in myself. And as we drove that day, I felt that vulnerability of have a failure of going, ooh, this was so I think, the worst kind of failure is when you really love something, you're good at it, it's your strengths, and you don't utilize the best of who you are. That's what I felt. That's a vulnerability. I'm like, I failed myself. And so it was hard because we were in this joyous mood, but I was like, I just got to let Curtis know, wait a minute, we're just getting ready to create a new vision. And wait, actually, this had been a habit and a ritual of ours for years that we did our year in review and looked at what happened. And we had done that. But we had missed the piece of really being clear on the vision and being connected to it. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to ruin our day. Let's just do it right now. And I just came out with it. I said, I'm feeling really disappointed in us. I included him in this too, because we were doing this together. I said, we did not make that vision happen, and not one single goal was accomplished. I think I used this very tone. There was a silence in the car that lasted for a while. Neither of us spoke as that truth sank in. After feeling the deep disappointment, I remember we're both just kind of like nodding our heads, like, yep, that did not happen. That's how that one went down. We both wanted to see what happened because this is one of the things we had learned. And this is very much in my belief about visioning is that you can learn from your mistakes, from your failures, from the things that don't happen. Don't just skip right over and say, oh, well, better luck next time. This is like, no, let's take a look and see what are the things we missed. And number one, we saw that our vision had not been anchored in what we had. We skipped over all the things we had. And I know looking back that part of that was because I had this feeling of not enoughness. And I wonder if that is ever anything you have. I think most of us do at times. And this was a point, especially when it came to our coaching business, where I'd worked really hard to be successful, and we just hit a bump that year. And there was some, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm imagining there were some things I didn't really want to look at. That is not a habit that goes away completely for me. I keep at times having to revisit. Skipped over right where we were. I think we didn't look at all the things we had on our plate. And we started visioning things we were not ready to make real. So it could be, if I were to put this in different terms, we were looking at that bigger dream, maybe the 10-year vision, the 5-year vision, and we were cramming it into 1 year. We weren't ready for it. And we skipped some things, right? So you actually will skip the things that are right if you go for the things that you're not ready for. So the things we could have been visualizing and setting goals for that we didn't, because we set it out too big. We didn't create what we have. And we set our goals accordingly, and we aimed at things that were beyond where we were at the time. And I want to really be clear on this distinction. This is not a limiting belief. It's not. Limiting beliefs would have a tone like, I can never do that. I'm no good at that. That'll never happen to me. This is different than that. It's like, where am I right now? Where am I ready to grow? What's possible? What are the things that would be most enlivening for me now as I go for that bigger dream? Because I always think you should have that bigger dream, that 20-year dream that you're aiming for, and then you bring it back to 1 year. So we have been aiming for things. I'm going to say that at that time where we were, who we were, they just weren't right. They were, I call it too big, but I think more accurately, they just weren't right. They weren't the things because we had started from that place of lack of, oh, I think we're not really where we want to be. So let's aim for things that, that we're not going to be able to create. I know it just sounds so stupid as I'm saying this, but I'm telling you this story so that you will hopefully learn from it. Because you might be, I've worked with so many people who tell me, Kat, I created the vision and like I'm telling you the story now, none of it happened or it didn't happen or it's not happening. And they get so discouraged that they let go. But this is leading to the next piece that we saw, the thing that really struck us driving up that coast was that we felt alone in our quest to make this vision a reality. We didn't have a community to support us like we had had in the past. It just hadn't occurred to us. We'd made a lot of changes. We had moved to Ventura, away from Los Angeles, where we knew a lot of people, new community, all kinds of things happening with our family and with our work. Anyway, what I realized was that for many years, I had been a part of the coactive community. I'd gone through their courses and I was connected to all these fabulous people. I went to the certification program. This is one reason I love to go out and enroll in training programs because I get to be connected with people. I had so much support. I was in the coactive leadership program. I met fabulous people. They supported me. The leaders supported me. And then to top it all off, I was chosen to be a leader for the business development program for the coaches. For it was called the Coaches Training Institute, but it's now the Coactive Training Institute. So I trained all around business development. Yes, lucky me. I learned a ton of things. I was with this most amazing group of coaches. I think there were like 20 of us. And we all supported each other. We supported each other so much in pursuing our dream of thriving coaching businesses as we were being trained to support other coaches. It was so fabulous. And it went on for many, many, many years. So it all been going so well. I created my business to be successful, my life, and I was by the ocean, and so many great things were happening. But I realized when I looked at this vision, this particular year, we were no longer connected to a community like that. I drifted apart from the people. I still had them in my life, but there wasn't that community feeling. So here's what we did. Here's the good news. Here's the upside of that story. When we began to create our New Year's vision, so first we cleared out, I call it clearing out the crap. We cleared out all of that big mistake. Oh, we really did some things. We got off track. We got off track. This happens. I'm hoping this gives you hope if you've gotten off track. Because we get off track even from those things we most believe in. We lose track for some reasons. We get too busy. We have a lot of things going on in our life. Or maybe, there was also a thing, in this case, a whole family situation had happened that I can imagine probably, kind of took us away from really, that happens. All you need to do is take a look at it, face it, feel that ouch, and then glean the lessons so you can not just get back on track, so you can actually move forward better. I can look at that year of disappointment and I'm looking at it right now and think, oh, I wonder sometimes I don't know if it's necessary to get off track that badly. Maybe what I'm saying and seeing is there are times though when in order to do what we really need to do, we have to have some things happen in our lives that are those wake up calls. So we can see, okay, I was going along just fine and doing okay, but I did need to do some of that cleaning out of the closet, some of that looking at my life and letting go of some things. It was really time to let go of and see, what is it calling me now? So this was our ritual, Curtis and I. And we checked in this year. Okay. We're going through the clearing out the year of disappointments. We unpacked, we honored, really, really honored all of our learning. It was humbling. So that year, I don't remember exactly what our vision was that year, but how we did it was okay, let's first look at what we have and let's set some goals that are inspiring and yet realistic, right? That's part of that SMART goal, structure. It's really true. It's like, oh, there's some things I want to do and create that feel a stretch. I think this is where goals are at their best. They feel like a stretch, but they're doable. I feel like, oh, if I really put my mind and heart to it, I can make that happen. And we began new habits. This was the year. This was probably one of the learnings. It's not the one I'm going to get to, the biggest one I feel like, but it was one. Oh, I need to stay in touch with this vision. So we created a habit. We put the vision where we could see it. And we had a habit of looking at that vision, having it in our daily life, talking about it. It's evolved that habit to once a month on the first weekend of every single month of the year. Curtis and I check in on our vision. We look at our vision boards, we look at our goals, we take a look. We do it habitually. It's the first weekend of the month, it's vision weekend. So you might want to think about that. What are some habits that you can put into place that are going to have you connecting with that vision? So it isn't just some, oh, I did that back at Kat's visioning workshop. It was really fun. And now, what was that I had on my vision? I'm not quite sure. Right? You want to be able to stay in touch with it. You want to be able to take those teeny tiny steps, those ones that you can take daily, the ones that just keep you moving forward. You know, that saying, yard by yard, life is hard, inch by inch, life is a cinch. It's kind of corny. I know, I get it. But I think it's true. All the things you think that you want to make happen in your world, and when you're specifically looking at your coaching business, if it seems impossible, it's probably because you're thinking you can do it in some big here's one. Here's an example. A lot of times at my vision workshop, as I'm working with the coaches on their goals and what they have, they want a new website. So that's part of the vision. I think that's great. So we put down, they put that down as a goal. And I say, so what's one step? And they say something like, build a website. That's the step. I'm going to build a website. Building a website, it's maybe 1,000 steps. Really, probably more. All the teeny tiny things that you have to do. Gather. Oh, I could go into all the things it takes to make a really great website. Takes a lot of teeny tiny steps. Even every one of them is simple. Some gathering of things and writing of things and thinking about things and doing some artwork and very, very simple. Every single coach that's listening to this today can do it, but you need to do it in little bites and little teeny tiny and give your time to rest and give time to go through the goo, the creative goo that all of our manifestations require us to go through when you're creating something new. So that's a habit to put in there. I have a habit, I call it creative tension. I give it a name. Part of my habit when I'm in my creative mode is to give myself enough time to get through the goo. Oh, I don't like it. I don't know. Nothing's working for me. And then I get through it. I have enough time. Okay. So there are some tips. I am going to round up this podcast with some tips again, but you might want to be keeping track because some of these things might be just right up the alley, things you hadn't thought of when it comes to making your vision a reality. But here's the one that really still stands out for me. We did this fast too. We got the disappointment, like let's say on a Thursday, we cleared it out. I got all choked up thinking about that time because it was really big for us. I woke up that Sunday morning and I said, Curtis, there's a spiritual community that I've been reading about and thinking about ever since we moved to Ventura. And today's the day we go and join the community of Ventura. And that's what we did. We we went to that gathering that day, and I felt the feeling of being in community. Oh, it warmed my heart. They were talking about visioning. I remember it. They were talking about the vision they had for the Unity Church and how it was going to go. And I was like, I'm in the right place. I'm never, ever again going to try to do this alone. And I say that and I laugh because sometimes I still do. Like it still, can happen. But since that time, I've really learned how important that was. And it made all the difference for us. Those things, the ones that I just outlined, we made those changes and that we got this community to support us. And it was a community that believed in visioning. It was actually they had classes and courses, and so we were really big on getting this vision. We did a course. We also did by the end of that year. We held a vision workshop. It was probably one of our first vision workshops. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's part of what when you join a community, it's not just what they give to you; it's what you get to offer to them. That's part of what makes it so wonderful. So that year was one of our best, even though we faced a huge, unexpected challenge. We had a really big challenge that year that might have defeated us. It might have taken us out. So kind of take notice of the difference there. Okay, here was a year of failure, disappointment, because we didn't stay connected to our vision. It was way too big, all those things. We didn't have people supporting us. Now, the next year was one of the best, even though there was a great big, ooh, I wouldn't have wanted that to happen to me, and I hope it never does again thing that came along. We had our vision, we had our goals, we had our habits, we had the supportive community. So we were able to I'll say it, keep the faith, right? To keep moving forward. Okay. So this is not looking so great over here. What can we do today to keep this vision alive, to keep moving forward on it? And we did. Since that disappointing year, I have not gone back because what I found by the end of that year, like I said, was we had overcome a challenge. I hadn't really even seen that as a possibility of a vision helping me do and grown even more of what we wanted in our vision because of the challenge, because the challenge helped to grow us and it helped to actually connect us with people. It fired us up. It got us saying, wait a minute, there's something else I want to be doing in my life. So think about that when challenges come your way. A vision does not protect you from those challenges. So often I thought that was what was going to happen for me, that I could just, as long as I thought positively and moved forward with my vision and had the great goals, that no bad things were going to happen. Not true. That's how life is. But the vision helped me. All those pieces helped me, helped us. So each year I create this vision for my heart and soul, and it's connected to something bigger than just what my ego wants. I want to put that in here too. It comes from my values that I want to honor, ways that I want to make a positive difference. And of course, it has fun things in it too, magical things. Those, it's like, oh, because those are my values, right? Having fun, magic. That's how I create my vision now. And sometimes it doesn't always look that good to other people, or they might think, God, that's like, okay, it's not that I want to make $1 million usually in my vision, but I might have financial prosperity. I will have things that have to do with money, but they feel like they're part of the giving and receiving reciprocity in this world. That's what lights me up. My learning that year was so big. that it influenced me about a decade on when I was creating another New Year's vision. I knew I wanted to lead my own community. Inspired by the spiritual community, I had gone to seminary. I had become an ordained in the faith minister. I was delivering sermons for years all over the country, and I loved that role. So this year, I imagined having my own church, a church Curtis and I would lead together, one that had no dogma. It would be anchored in a philosophy that I feel like is the coaching philosophy, where everyone has their own spiritual path and that together we go far, really connected to that higher self that wants to have a positive impact. So we started on the path that year. And the vision board we made was beautiful. And we set the goals. We had our habits. But one day I was doing this habit I talked to you about of checking in, and I got a clear message that my church was not going to be a traditionally spiritual church. It seemed like a huge pivot at the time, but my guidance was very clear. My church was going to be for coaches. It was going to be a business academy, no less. That's a very wonky shift, right? From church to business academy. But what struck me most about this pivot, what it was actually more fulfilling. It was more of the essence of community. The people I wanted to lead who were committed to changing the world and having a positive impact through their work. I saw that I could bring everything I'd learned as a coach in business for 20 years, as a trainer for the Coactive Training Institute, as a writer of a best-selling book, who knew how to create online courses. I saw I could bring my vision to life in this way. It was a really hard pivot to make, but once I did, everything fell into place. So that's the last piece I learned. Ooh, it's really important to stay connected to your vision, get community supporting you, and be able and willing to pivot. So I'm going to outline to the best of my ability the vision steps that I've put in today. And you know, when I do this podcast, I sometimes just riff, so they might not all be in here. Some of these were in the last podcast, but I put them all together. So first of all, take time to review, see where you are, learn from your mistakes, feel the ouch, look at what's working, who you are, what you have, and move forward with that. Take time to vision, see what you want, dream big. Sorry about that. I got so excited. I smacked my microphone. Use a visualization, get a coach to help you, get somebody to help you really dream big, and then dial it back. What's this year? And what are the goals? Juicy ones, realistic ones. Have a structure, make a vision board, something that's going to help you hold on to this vision and begin new habits. And I hope that one of those new habits, I encourage it to be checking in on your vision. And as I've told you before, there's the Soul Search. I have a book out there called The Soul Search. I have some worksheets. Just let me know. I'm happy to make one of those available to you. And once you have those in place, be willing to pivot. Make one of your new habits, as I said, checking in on your vision. And it could be something you put into your calendar right now. I say start putting it in your calendar so you can look at it, change it, pivot it if it's not working. Last but not least, make sure you have community to support you. Really, and I'd love to have you join my community. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But if not me, find your tribe, find your people. It's important. And always look to make action into a habit with teeny tiny steps, my friend. Teeny tiny. Okay. All right. My upcoming workshop, a community of coaches coming together to do some visioning. And if you're listening to this in real time, it's on I think it's January 15th, I do believe, at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'd love to have you join me and look at what you want to create this year. I would love to support you. I am supporting you. Go out, make it happen, make it a reality. Happy New Year.